Hello. Today we are talking about differentiation in the classroom, and we kind of want to figure out what differentiation is, what it is not, and what it should look like in the classroom. So these are our learning goals. Yes, our learning goals, because this is what we want to learn from this presentation. So let us begin by talking about what differentiation is. So, sorry about that. Why is differentiation important? I think differentiation is important because it applies our teaching to the individual students. Again, that is a really extremely hard task for us teachers to be able to do, especially in very large groups of students that we only have for 45 minutes to an hour a day. So the best way I can see differentiation being used is in a class setting, or excuse me, not the best way, but the best thing I can see is applying differentiation into our classrooms to help our students the best way we can by having them choose how they learn. That's the way I view differentiation. So that's why I think it's important. So differentiation is question mark. That was my first thoughts about when I was learning about or hearing about differentiation. So I want to talk a little bit about what goes into differentiation. So because it's dealing with individual students, it involves their background. We have students coming into a classroom that have many different backgrounds. We have them from many different lifestyles that are found in the world today, ranging from anywhere between gang-related to doing medium, mid-range family and their kinds of incomes to subsidized incomes. So we have a lot of students that may have problems with parents or anything, and all these things apply to a student's background. A few of those things include a student's interests. Differentiation will mostly is used best if you can grab the student's attention to whatever content area you're teaching. So it's very important to understand and know our students, what their likes, dislikes, and their background a little bit as we try to apply a differentiation. And that comes to the second point, is teachers' knowledge of student backgrounds. As a teacher, we need to be knowledgeable about our students' background, otherwise the differentiation will not work to its best effect that we can. These two kind of go hand in hand of another topic I believe we are going to discuss on the next couple slides, and if not, then I will come back to it. Students having options to choose from. This may sound like more work on our end, but it might not be as bad as we are looking at, because we're the ones who set up the options for them to choose from. And this is all going to be based on our knowledge of their background and trying our best to help them learn to the best that they can. So let's try and answer this question again. Differentiation is question mark. That's okay. Close, but not yet. We're not there yet. So let's talk a little bit more about what differentiation is not. It is not considered as a one-size-fits-all. I do not consider it as a one-size-fits-all, at least. The way I view it is everyone can do it, though. It's not a one-size-fits-all, solves all problems guaranteed, as much as it is every student can apply the differentiation we're trying to apply into our classes and change the way they're learning the material to help them learn it best. It's not just about giving students choices. So let's talk about that for a second. On the previous slide here, as you can see, we talked about students having options to choose from, but is not giving students choices, which may sound a little contradictory, but let's talk about it here. So these options that are given to the students to choose from are based on us teachers being able to understand their background and their interests. Okay, so based on that, we create the differentiation the ways of differentiation for the student to choose. But if it was just a student's choice, that would just be all it is student's choice of what to do. It's when we have evidence that we have as teachers of students and individuals that we give them choices. It's on that basis. And differentiation, we've talked a little bit about how we're trying to emphasize that these students are individuals and humans. The difference, but that's not all that differentiation is limited to, is not just limited to them. It can be small groups, even whole classes, depending on circumstances. But it is not just individual students. It can be applied to groups, small groups to even a class. So Caroline Tomlinson, she's one of the head people on this differentiation thing currently. And so these are a couple quotes I really like. So differentiation is simply a teacher attending to the learning needs of a particular student or small groups of students rather than teaching a class as though all individuals in it were basically alike. In differentiated classrooms, teachers begin where students are, not in front of the curriculum guide. And this last one I thought was very bold statement that she had made. Differentiated instruction is a teaching philosophy based on the premise that teachers should adapt instructions to students' differences. Rather than marching students through the curriculum lockstep, teachers should modify their instruction to meet students' varying readiness levels, learning preferences, and interests. Therefore, the teacher proactively plans a variety of ways to get it and express learning. So some of these are how Tomlinson describes differentiation. My summarization is of this. Based on my knowledge of individual students' background, including but not limited to likes, dislikes, readiness for materials and instructions, etc., I create options that students choose from that allow them individually to be the most efficient learners they can be. So that's my summarization of what differentiation is. Now, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about differentiation in the classroom. We're going to talk specifically about 4 ways differentiation is characterized in the classroom. There may be others, but these are 4 that I know or am able to talk about. So, we're going to talk about content, the process, product, and effect/environment. So, let's begin with content. So, content, the same task will be completed, but 2 different topics and or scenarios will be addressed. So, for example, you could be doing the branches of government. You could have them pass a bill, say for the legislative branch, but they can choose which topic to choose from. Some people may be more interested in, well, I don't believe sports people for the NFL should be out drinking and doing drugs, so we should put heavier fines on that. And this other person may be this other student may be more interested in local law enforcement. Same different topics, but it's the same thing that they're going to go through. They're the same tasks to get whatever assessments or other things that you have for them set aside for them, that it's going to be the same task they complete but different topics. Okay, let's talk about the process. The medium that the content is delivered to the students. So we know about dual coding theory, how it's words and images together, and we use them together to see the whole picture. Some students learn best by pictures, and we all know this. Some people learn best by reading books. The important part about differentiation of the process is to recognize and know about those backgrounds of students beforehand. If you know that a student is better adept at watching a video and reading the subtitles and understanding it better that way, it may be better for them for their learning experience to have that process available to them. Whereas another person may be just fine with reading from the textbook and learning all that they can from that. So that's an example of process differentiation. Product differentiation is one that I haven't tried myself, but I would be very interested in trying it, and I can describe what it is. So that's why we're talking about it. So how students show evidence of what they know. So this can come down to assessments that you've had, formal assessments that you've been doing with them. It could be a whole number of things. Something that shows what the students know. An example would be a diorama of, say, the Ice Age or something like that, and them having components to it that say, well, this is important to the Ice Age because of this. Or certain science projects would be similar things as well, especially for science fairs where they have to have their research and stuff there at the table. This would be something that would be likely to be a summative assessment. For the last one we're going to talk about is effect and / environment, or changing the classroom environment. As we all know as teachers, some classes can get pretty hectic. There's days where they are. This one changes that for those students that are prepared to learn and may not be able to deal with those rowdy days. An example would be over on one side of the room, we're going to have this going on. If you want some quiet time to reflect or whatever it is on the content or do whatever, we can have you be on over there with a group, and you guys can quietly discuss, and these guys over here can go and do something else, like say on the computers, to get this done together. So this one would also be a very interesting one that I would be interested in trying. So this is what these are what can be found for differentiation in classrooms. I don't believe it's all the things that can be found for it, but I think this is a good starting point for us teachers to be able to see how we can apply this so that our students can learn the best that they can.